Men often believe love is won with kindness, gifts, or endless pursuit. They are wrong. What draws a woman's desire is not servitude, but power, not warmth, but gravity. In this video, I shall reveal the concealed laws of influence, the very principles that make women pursue you as if compelled by nature itself. Understand this: the heart is not governed by morality, but by instinct, perception, and force. Women, like all humans, are drawn not to what is most gentle, but to what is most commanding. To be desired, one must not plead, but rule. One must not chase, but become a flame that draws the moth. Here I do not speak of romance as poets do. I speak of attraction as a weapon, a stratagem, a silent war where the strongest mind dictates the outcome. You are either the hunted or the hunter who makes others give chase. Scarcity as power, a principle older than kingdoms, older than laws, older even than the language we use to describe it. What is scarce is desired. What is abundant is ignored. This truth governs golden grain, water and wine, and yes, even the heart. Ask yourself this: why do men who give everything, who bare their souls, who place women on pedestals, often end up discarded like yesterday's news? And why does the man who holds himself back, who is not always present, who is difficult to obtain, become the obsession of those around him? The answer is scarcity. Think of the diamond. It is nothing more than carbon, the same material in coal, black and cheap. Yet, because it is rare, and because men have built an illusion of value around it, the diamond is pursued, protected, and worshipped. Women wear it on their hands as a symbol of worth, not because it shines more than glass, but because it is scarce. Now imagine yourself in this role. If you flood a woman with attention, with constant messages, with gifts and desperate pursuit, you transform yourself into coal. Common, easily found, worthless. But when you limit your presence, when you allow only glimpses of yourself, when you give attention sparingly, suddenly, you become the diamond. She wonders what you are doing when you are not with her. She imagines, she questions, she chases. This is not manipulation born of cruelty, but of strategy. For people never value what they did not have to fight for. History confirms this. Consider the Roman emperors. Their time, their words, their presence were scarce. When an emperor appeared before the people, it was an event that shook the city. Crowds gathered, hearts raced, and every gesture carried weight. Contrast this with the servant, always available, always at hand, whose presence is so constant it becomes invisible. Which one commanded devotion? Which one inspired desire? Scarcity elevates, abundance diminishes. Yet the principle is not only historical, it is psychological. Modern studies in behavioral psychology reveal the same truth. When resources are limited, humans value them more. When opportunities are scarce, people chase harder. Marketers exploit this daily. Limited edition. Only 3 left. Time is running out. These words compel action, not because the product is extraordinary, but because the supply is scarce. Why would human attraction be any different? Ask yourself, when you give your attention freely, when you are always available at her call, what message are you sending? That your time is worthless. That you are common. That you are a resource she can consume endlessly without effort. But when you ration your time, when you protect your presence, when you withhold constant attention, you send another message: I am valuable. My presence is earned, not given. This shift forces her to measure your worth differently. Instead of taking you for granted, she begins to pursue you. Notice, I did not say she wants you more. Desire is not passive, it is active. To desire is to reach, to chase, to hunger. By creating scarcity, you transform her role. She ceases to be the one being pursued, and instead becomes the pursuer. Do you understand how radical this inversion is? The majority of men spend their lives chasing, pleading, offering themselves cheaply. They drown women in words and gestures, and in doing so, they strip themselves of all allure. But you, if you master scarcity, you stand apart. You place yourself in a position of power, where her desire feeds on the gaps you create. Think of silence. Most men fear it, rushing to fill every pause with words, hoping to entertain. Yet silence, when used strategically, is scarce. And because it is scarce, it is powerful. One pause can weigh more than 1,000 declarations. Think of presence. If you are always there, your shadow becomes familiar, your voice becomes background noise. But if you appear less often, with certainty and strength, each encounter feels heightened, each word more significant, each glance more memorable. Understand this: scarcity is not absence. It is not neglect. It is the art of rationing. Too much absence breeds indifference. Too much presence breeds contempt. But controlled scarcity creates hunger. It is the difference between fasting and famine. One sharpens the appetite, the other destroys it. So I ask you, do you wish to be coal, abundant and forgotten, or diamond, rare and pursued? The choice is yours, and yet scarcity alone is not enough. For what good is rarity if the presence itself lacks weight? To wield power, you must also command uncertainty. And that is the next law: emotional uncertainty. The sharpest edge in the arsenal of desire. Men often believe that to win a woman's affection, one must provide endless security, constant reassurance, unwavering loyalty, ceaseless declarations of love. But such behavior suffocates passion. Certainty is comfortable, yes, but comfort is the enemy of desire. Desire thrives not in certainty, but in tension, in mystery, in the unknown. Consider this: why does a forbidden fruit tempt the hand more than the fruit easily gathered? Why do women fall hardest, not for the man who promises everything, but for the one who keeps her questioning? The answer is simple: what is predictable loses its charm. What is uncertain consumes the mind. Think of great rulers. A king who always acted the same way, whose temper and judgments were predictable, inspired little fear or devotion. But a ruler whose decisions could not be anticipated commanded both dread and fascination. One day merciful, the next ruthless, his people hung on his every move. They could never relax, never dismiss him, never forget him. His unpredictability gave him power. The same principle applies in matters of attraction. If she knows exactly what you will say, if she can predict every gesture, every message, every moment, then you have already lost her interest. But if she is unsure whether today you will draw her closer or pull away, if she cannot decipher your true intentions, then she begins to chase clarity. She seeks your attention, not because you give it freely, but because you do not reveal your hand. Modern psychology proves this. Studies on intermittent reinforcement reveal that people are most addicted not when rewards are consistent, but when they are unpredictable. It is the same principle casinos exploit. A gambler does not know when the next win will arrive, so he keeps playing. Likewise, a woman uncertain of your affection invests more deeply, precisely because she cannot guarantee it. Ask yourself, have you ever seen her glance at her phone, wondering why you have not replied? Have you noticed how silence makes her lean in closer, how hesitation makes her offer more? This is emotional uncertainty at work. Do not misunderstand me. This is not cruelty, it is control. To flood her with reassurance, to strip her of all doubt, is to numb her. She will feel safe, yes, but safe like one feels with a brother, not with a lover. Safety without tension breeds indifference. You must become the paradox, near but not fully grasped, warm yet untouchable, clear enough to attract, but mysterious enough to hold her imagination captive. History gives us examples of this. Think of Caesar. He promised Rome glory, but never revealed his full intentions until the decisive moment. His unpredictability compelled loyalty, for no one wished to be left out of his triumph. Or consider the legendary courtesans of Renaissance courts. They never gave themselves entirely, never surrendered all of their affections at once. They offered glimpses, gestures, fragments, enough to intoxicate, but never enough to satisfy. Their power lay not in what they gave, but in what they withheld. You must do the same. Ask yourself, do you always answer immediately? Do you always declare your feelings at the slightest provocation? If so, you are predictable. Predictability is death. Instead, let her wonder. Delay a reply. Leave a question unanswered. Give affection, but withdraw it before it becomes expected. Allow her to feel both the warmth of your presence and the chill of your absence. This oscillation creates the storm of attraction. When she is uncertain, her mind cannot rest. She replays your words, analyzes your silence, seeks meaning where there is none. And in this pursuit, she invests more of herself. But remember, uncertainty must be deliberate, not careless. If you are simply neglectful, she will turn away. The art lies in balance. Enough doubt to provoke desire, enough presence to prevent despair. Like a master tactician, you advance and retreat, never allowing the enemy to predict your next move. This is how empires were built. This is how hearts are conquered. Not through constant comfort, but through controlled tension. So I ask you, when she lies awake thinking of you, is it because you gave her everything? Or because you gave her enough to dream, but not enough to rest? The power lies not in being fully known, but in being partially hidden. And yet, even mystery requires a foundation. For if your presence lacks strength, no amount of uncertainty will hold her. To command her attention, you must first command yourself, your posture, your aura, your presence. And that is the next law, command of presence. The weapon that requires no blade, no coin, no army, yet conquers more swiftly than any force of arms. Presence is not mere existence. It is not the act of standing in a room. It is the aura that bends the room around you. Ask yourself when you enter a gathering, do eyes turn toward you, or do you vanish into the crowd? Do your words strike silence, or are they drowned in noise? A man without presence is invisible, and invisibility is weakness. Throughout history, rulers understood that authority was not only in law, but in how one carried oneself. Consider Alexander the Great. He did not simply win battles, he carried himself as if the gods had chosen him. His soldiers followed not only his orders, but his image. Even when exhausted and outnumbered, they fought with fury, because his presence commanded loyalty. Contrast this with the weak noble who begs for respect, who shouts to be heard, who explains endlessly in hopes of being believed. The louder he pleads, the less he is taken seriously. Why? Because true presence does not plead, it radiates. Presence is silence where others chatter, stillness where others fidget, certainty where others doubt. In matters of attraction, the principle is the same. A woman does not chase the man who bends, who flatters, who fills the air with nervous talk. She chases the one whose stillness unsettles her. The one who looks at her not as a supplicant begging for attention, but as a sovereign choosing whether or not to bestow it. Do you understand how radical this is? Most men waste themselves in performance, telling jokes, boasting achievements, exaggerating stories, hoping to appear worthy. Yet the man of presence does the opposite. He says little. He reveals little. He allows the silence to work for him, and in that silence he appears vast, untouchable, magnetic. Think of the lion. It does not roar constantly. It does not chase every creature that passes. It moves slowly, deliberately, and because of this, all who see it sense danger. Presence works the same way. It is not in constant action, it is in controlled action. Psychology confirms this. Studies show that people perceive those who speak less, but with confidence, as more intelligent and dominant. A pause before answering a question suggests thought, while rushed speech suggests insecurity. The mind instinctively respects calm certainty. But presence is more than voice. It is posture, gaze, timing. To slouch, to shift nervously, to avoid the eyes of others. This is to surrender before the battle begins. Straight shoulders, a steady gaze, controlled movement, these communicate mastery without a word. And women, like all humans, sense this unconsciously. She may not know why her heart quickens in your silence. She may not understand why she keeps replaying a single look you gave. But her instincts do. Presence bypasses logic and speaks directly to instinct. History offers another lesson. Consider the papal courts of Renaissance Italy. Cardinals and envoys fought for influence not by shouting, but by posture, by the gravity of their silence, by the careful weight of each word. A single phrase from a man of presence carried more weight than hours of speech from the weak. The ability to command attention without force was the truest mark of power. So how does one cultivate presence? First, speak less. Let others expend themselves with noise. When you speak, make each word deliberate, as if it were a decree. Second, move with intention. Do not rush. Do not fidget. Every gesture should seem chosen, as though your body itself obeys your will with discipline. Third, control your gaze. Do not dart your eyes like prey. Look directly, steadily. Hold your ground with your eyes as you would with a sword. And finally, embody self-certainty. Presence cannot be faked through tricks. It must be rooted in the conviction that you are of value, that you need not prove yourself through desperation. When this conviction becomes part of you, others feel it without explanation. Remember this: women chase not the loudest man, but the man who seems unshakable. She does not long for the one who flatters her endlessly, but for the one whose very silence demands her curiosity. Ask yourself, when you next walk into a room, will you dissolve into the air, or will the air bend around you? For the man who commands presence does not chase. He compels others to chase him. But presence alone is not enough. For once attention is gained, it must be sustained. The next weapon, then, is subtler, more dangerous. It lies in the giving and withholding of validation. And that is the next law: withholding validation. A principle as cruel as it is effective. Men often believe that to win affection, they must give endless praise. They shower women with compliments, hoping their words will melt resistance. Yet instead of desire, they breed contempt. Why? Because constant validation cheapens itself. When every word is praise, praise loses its value. Consider the rare coin. If it is minted in small numbers, it is coveted, treasured, protected. But if it floods the market, it becomes nothing more than metal. Validation works the same way. If you hand it out freely, it becomes worthless. But when you ration it, when you make a woman work for it, suddenly it becomes a prize she cannot ignore. Ask yourself, do you wish to be taken for granted or pursued? History offers lessons. Kings rarely gave praise to their courtiers. They bestowed recognition sparingly, and when they did, it ignited fierce loyalty. One nod from the throne was worth more than 100 from a lesser man. The scarcity of their validation made it a currency of power. A general who received a word of approval would fight until death to keep it. A courtier who was acknowledged would dedicate his life to serving further. Now think of yourself in this role. If every gesture, every word, every glance from you carries approval, she no longer values it. She consumes it as one consumes air, without notice. But if your approval is rare, deliberate and precise, it will echo in her mind for days. This is not theory. Modern psychology confirms it. Studies on reward systems show that the brain assigns greater value to intermittent rewards than to constant ones. A gambler does not become addicted when he wins every time. He becomes addicted when he wins unpredictably. The same mechanism drives human attraction. If she never knows when or why you will give validation, she becomes bound to seeking it. Do you see the danger and the power within this? Most men enslave themselves by giving validation too easily. They compliment her beauty every moment. They praise every word she speaks. They confess affection before it has been earned. And in doing so, they reveal their weakness. Their validation carries no weight, for it costs nothing to obtain. But the man who withholds it, who recognizes selectively, who praises sparingly, his words carry the force of law. When he finally says, "You look striking today," she feels it like a crown placed upon her head. Why? Because she had to fight for it. Because it is rare. Because it came from a man who does not waste his words. This is why silence is often more powerful than flattery. A measured look, a raised brow, an absence of praise. All these create questions in her mind. She begins to wonder, what does he think of me? Why did he not say anything? Am I not enough? In this uncertainty, she invests herself further, trying harder, giving more, chasing the very recognition you withhold. Do you notice the inversion here? Instead of you pursuing her approval, she pursues yours. Instead of you dancing for her attention, she dances for yours. And when this happens, the power dynamic shifts entirely. History again confirms this. The most feared commanders never lavished praise upon their armies. They demanded more. They withheld recognition until it was undeniable. When praise finally came, it was so rare that it became immortal. Caesar's legions engraved his words into memory, for they were not given lightly. so too must you act, withhold, measure, restrain. Give validation not in abundance, but in scarcity, and when you do give it, make it precise, truthful, undeniable. For this combination, restraint and precision, turns your words into weapons of influence. Remember this, a woman who is constantly praised feels no need to chase. But a woman who is occasionally, unpredictably recognized, she will strive endlessly to earn more. Ask yourself, are your words a cheap commodity or are they gold? Do you hand them out like scraps, or do you force others to fight for them? Your answer determines whether you are desired or dismissed. But even praise, once withheld, must eventually be withdrawn entirely, for the most dangerous weapon of attraction is not scarcity of recognition. It is the sudden absence of it. And that is the next law. The art of withdrawal, perhaps the most ruthless, yet the most irresistible law of desire. What is valued most is that which can be lost, and nothing ignites pursuit more than the sudden withdrawal of what once felt secure. Consider this. Why do men who remain constantly present become invisible, while those who vanish, who retreat at the height of attention, become unforgettable? Why does absence strike harder than presence? The answer is simple. Withdrawal creates a wound, and in that wound, longing festers. Think of a feast. When the table is full, people eat without thought. But remove the food suddenly, and hunger multiplies. The appetite grows not from abundance, but from the memory of what was once available. In the same way, when you withdraw your presence, your attention, your affection, you transform yourself from ordinary to indispensable. History offers countless lessons. When generals besieged a city, they often cut off supplies, not to destroy immediately, but to starve the people slowly. Each day the desire for food, for water, for life itself grew unbearable. Withdrawal became the weapon sharper than the sword. So too in human relationships. To withdraw is to create scarcity at its most brutal. It is to starve the other of what they crave most, your attention. Ask yourself, do you always remain where you are wanted? Do you linger until your presence becomes stale? Or do you step back at the moment of greatest intensity, leaving her to ache for your return? Understand this desire is not maintained by what is constantly given, but by what is taken away. Modern psychology affirms it. Attachment studies reveal that people bond more intensely when faced with intermittent loss. When a partner withdraws affection, even briefly, the brain responds with heightened activity, craving resolution. The absence triggers pursuit, and the one who withdraws becomes the object of obsession. This is not romance, it is conditioning. It is power, but withdrawal must be wielded with precision. Too much, and you breed resentment. Too little, and it loses its effect. The art lies in timing. Step back not when she is indifferent, but when her hunger is at its peak. Withdraw not after rejection, but after intimacy. Do you see the cruelty? You create the memory of closeness, then take it away. In this absence, she does not rest, she chases. History again confirms this. Think of great artists and courtesans who vanished at the height of their fame. Their withdrawal made them legends. Lovers and patrons pursued them, desperate to recapture the brilliance suddenly denied. It was not presence that secured their power. It was absence, calculated and deliberate. And yet, most men act in reverse. They cling tighter when interest fades. They beg, they plead, they remain always available. In doing so, they destroy all mystery. They give no chance for longing to grow, no space for absence to sharpen desire. They flood the market until their worth collapses. But you, if you master withdrawal, you weaponize absence. You become the thought that lingers in the silence of the night, the face that returns unbidden to the mind, the hunger that deepens each day you are gone. Ask yourself what is stronger, the pleasure of having or the torment of losing, which burns longer, the moment of presence or the echo of absence. Withdrawal transforms you from a man into a phantom. She cannot control you, cannot predict you, cannot dismiss you. And so she chases. She seeks your return, offering more, investing more, binding herself deeper. But do not mistake this for cruelty alone. Withdrawal also protects you. It keeps you from being consumed, from becoming dependent, from losing yourself in her world. It reminds both of you where the power truly lies, with the one who can walk away. To command desire, you must dare to disappear. So I ask you, when will you step back? Will you cling, like the desperate, until you are discarded? Or will you retreat at the height of power, forcing her to feel your absence like a wound that will not close? For in the art of withdrawal lies the cruelest truth. People chase not what they have, but what they have lost. And yet, even withdrawal is meaningless if the one withdrawing is weak. To master others, you must first master yourself. And that is the next law. Power is never taken by force alone. It is taken by shaping perception, by bending emotions, by pulling invisible strings while others believe they move freely. The greatest control is not declared. It is concealed. It is the smile that hides intent. It is the silence that makes others speak. It is the hand that withdraws, making the world ache for its return. Ask yourself, have you ruled, or have you begged? Have you made others chase, or have you chased like the desperate? Remember this: people are not bound by loyalty, nor by love, but by the hunger you awaken and never fully satisfy. That is true command. That is hidden power. Now, the question turns to you. What strategies have you used, knowingly or unknowingly, to make others move without realizing it? Share them in the comments. If you seek more of these cold truths, subscribe. If you know someone blind to these laws, share this video. For only those who understand control are never controlled.